Incredible, right? All right, folks, here we are. Lucky number 7. We had to bring in a hitter, the silent killer. I met him at Geek Out in LA recently. Excuse me. He presented, and I was just absolutely blown away. My jaw couldn't have been further through the floor. And so, obviously, we had to have him on the pod. Jourdan Smith, welcome to the pod.
What's up, guys? How's it going? I'm super glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity as well. And I appreciate the kind words about my Geek Out presentation, man. It was super nervous to present. It was my first time, but the feedback I got from it was it's pretty amazing. Made me feel a lot better about, everything that I had to talk about and just kind of where I'm at in my career today.
Yeah, and you have a really interesting career arc, too. Sorry, I totally jumped over my amazing and co-host that keeps the trains on time, the man with the plan, Max Blank. Max, how are you?
We're in my box here, my WeWork box.
We usually do these in the afternoon, so I'm not as caffeinated, so I'm not a little off.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it right now.
And so Max is obviously out in HQ in Columbus. I'm back in Austin, and then Jourdan, you're in Carlsbad or San Diego area? Where you?
Yeah. Carlsbad, California. So 30 minutes north of San Diego. They call it North County.
Yeah. So, man, so many beautiful places. California is one of my favorite. The West is just one of my favorites. So how long did you live there? You've been there for how many years?
Yes, about two and a half years now. I moved out from South Florida. I'm originally a Florida man. Parents are military, so I don't take on the stereotypes. But yeah, I pretty much born and raised in Florida, man. I did get to move away for a little bit, but found my way out here in California about 2 years ago, and it's been great ever since.
Wow. You're from Miami?
Originally from the Panhandle. Most people aren't familiar. So if you know where Tallahassee's at, you go west to the top half of the gun. Then there's like a place called Destin, Florida, and it's known for its
beautiful
white sandy beaches. Yeah, exactly. The Redneck Riviera, as some people know it as, but
nice. Love it.
Yeah, man,
that's awesome.
It's definitely growing up in the South in that part of Florida, but it was a great time.
That's wonderful. And you went to school out there, right?
Yeah, for a little bit I did. So I got my AA, and then I found my way into the marketing industry and kind of just continued down that path.
I love it.
And it's brought me here. Just really been hustling.
I love it. And we were kind of talking offline a little bit, but you have a fantastic Instagram. And you were telling me actually your camera got you into marketing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you give us some color to that story?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you some background. So I really picked up the camera early on in my life and started to take photos of just random things. I found my way to cars, started growing some Instagram pages. So I kind of got into the content arbitrage side of things. And I just grew the pages out and really started to want to create my own content because a lot of people during those days, people were attacking you for stealing their work. There was no exposure bucks, they weren't really, there was a period where that stuff was credible, but now it's definitely not. So yeah, I just went through that, wanted to create my own content and just got heavy into automotive photography and then started getting into like lifestyle and portrait stuff and getting into some landscape photography as well. So just really started to tap into different things. But ever since I got so serious with marketing about 3 or 4 years ago, I just haven't been picking up the camera as much and just really heavy in the ad accounts.
So you spend most of your time with paid media?
Yeah, exactly. Career? With paid media, and that's really where I noticed the biggest lift. I was buying Facebook ads like back in 2013, promoting posts that linked to my likes, and which is just like this content arbitrage system. They paid you pennies on what they were making, but it was just an easy way to get into the content arb game.
So that's how. When I just quickly 2 seconds. This is just a fun little anecdote, but I had a little startup. I used to live over in Israel, and I was like in 2013, I think. And we made like a Zillow for college kids. So we were based in Israel, but I had all these college connections from back in the States. So we launched it in Ohio and all these schools. And so I'm like, what's this Facebook ads thing? And there was no Pixel. There was nothing back then. So I used to just like go onto our Facebook page, the company's Facebook page, and like just boost posts and target the school. And then I would arbitrage like the views I got, show them to the local businesses and sell ad spots
Awesome.
on
Very
the, you know what I'm
smart.
saying?
Very smart way to get. Yeah.
So I was like, I can look at these. Like, I'm like, I got you 20,000 impressions. It was like, you know, $50, and then I would sell it for like 500 to $1,000. That was fun. Just that took me back there, Jordan. That took me back to
Man,
memory.
I wish Facebook still worked that way. You know,
Right?
you get 5-cent clicks,
It's
20-cent
amazing.
clicks.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
leads.
Yeah.
We got leads on that thing. We got leads on
yeah,
that thing.
it was definitely
amazing.
moving the needle. And then Facebook realized how much money they were making people, and definitely started to change things up a bit. So here we are today.
The perpetual hustler you are, Max. I love that.
Your Facebook's like your margin is our
Yes,
opportunity.
yeah, eating it up. Weirdly enough, I actually came into marketing through photography in a weird way. I was kind of broke, didn't know what I needed to do, and I started taking pictures, CrossFit boxes and yoga stuff, and then that kind of got me into ads as well. So interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, but it kind of fell to your point as well, where I've been so much into the operational side that I've lost. I haven't like went on a photo walk or anything like that. Like I used to be really into it.
Exactly.
Jumping into your other hobby that I know you're very avid about is cycling. So how did you get into that? And tell me some kind of cool cycling stories, or like what do you ride, or nerd out a little bit there.
Yeah, 100%, man. So I honestly, I got into road cycling because my e-bike got stolen. I know it's a little weird to kick it off like that, but I was using the e-bike to commute to work down in Encinitas. It's about 5 miles from where I'm at, so it was a pretty short commute in the morning. Great way to get some exercise. And you know, once the bike got stolen, I got some money from my renter's insurance because it actually got stolen from where I live. And I just put that towards buying a road bike. And you know, I got heavy into it. Living in Southern California on the coast, it's just a great place to ride bikes. And then the landscape, you know, growing up in a very flat, you know, geography is just not fun for, you know, kind of
I'm
being
from
outside.
Indiana.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hot and humid down in Florida, so it just didn't really promote, you know, incentivize you to get outside. Whereas here, it's like you see people walking, you see people riding. So I wanted to see what it was all about, and you know, just started riding around, started climbing a lot of the hills, started seeing what this area really had to offer from two wheels, and I got hooked on it. So I still commute to work. You know, we got an office down in Oceanside, California now, which is about a 9.5 or 8.5 mile commute. And you know, I ride down there every day, and I love it. It's a 30-minute ride now, about twice as long, and I enjoy every bit of it.
So that's fantastic. I used to work at Whole Foods, and I lived pretty much in like downtown proper, just south of the river. And I would have an electric longboard because I hate traffic. I just have like this aversion to traffic. It's just something that I just absolutely despise. And there's something to having that, because it's not like physically arduous, right? It's almost like a brisk walk. And like I would come into the office just like 2 coffees in, like my mind was just right, where it was just enough stimulus to really get you there, but it's not enough to tire you out or something like that. So there's something to that. Yeah, there's something to that kind of either walking or that brisk exercise, especially to start your day. I love that.
Exactly. It allows you to get into the flow state so much easier. You get that exercise, you get those endorphins pumping, and you get the exercise out that everybody tries to do before work and squeeze in. You get it in at the start of your day, and I love it. So right now I'm averaging like 100, 150 miles a week. Last summer I was doing like 200. I had a little bit more time. We're more busy at the agency now, so it's like definitely had to tailor it back a little bit, but love every chance I can get out on the bike.
Are you a Strava guy, or is there a particular app? Yeah, Strava.
Yeah,
Strong,
definitely.
right? Yeah, it's very good.
You know,
it's very good.
What's Strava? What is
it's
that?
it's an app for pretty much all athletes. They track every different. It's like a social media platform
Let's
for
see where
athletes.
I'm at on that.
And it allows you to kind of keep up and keep up with the rankings locally and different time segments that you can kind of compete with other people on, just to really see where you rank at. And I think with me being heavy into the numbers, it was just another way for me to track the data, because I'm always an ad account, so I just really wanted as much data around what I was doing and around my performance and exercise. And Strava is just another place to kind of consolidate all of that information, and then you can rank and see how you stack up locally.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
That's one of the residual benefits of being an ad account nowadays. You start to look at things very analytically.
Exactly.
You know, but then you got to like balance it out with some humanity as well, right?
Yeah, you just looking at data all day in
That's
analytics
good stuff.
it can drive you a bit
It's good.
crazy,
It's
but
good.
it's still fun to just be able to go back and
Yeah.
look at it. All right, here's where I started. Here's the objective data where
Yeah.
I started to where I'm
Let's
going,
do it.
and where I've gone, and it helps contextualize everything. Like, okay, I've actually made progress, even though it doesn't feel like it. But you can look at the numbers and really see.
Quick question. Sorry, Rob, but
No,
let me
you
just.
don't.
This is part of the flow of the questions, anyways. So who says you have to do something for 10,000 hours to master it? What is that?
It's
That
what's his
famous.
name?
I know you know
Malcolm
it, Rob.
Gladwell. Gladwell. It's actually.
Okay.
I'll interject after you finish your thought.
So, Jordan, have you spent 10,000 hours in an ad account on
I
Facebook?
like honestly for as many years as I've been buying, possibly. I definitely spend a lot of
Yeah.
hours in these ad accounts. I don't want to toot my own horn and say that I'm at that level. I've mastered Facebook. Definitely not. But
Yeah.
I've spent quite a bit of time in the ad accounts. My the guys I work with are constantly telling me like, hey, you need to take time for yourself. You need to like, kind of cater to your mental health. And it's not that I don't like. I
Sure.
get that out on my bike. Like I definitely take care of myself and make time for it. But at the same time, like I love this game so
Hmm.
much that I'm constantly in it. There's late nights a lot, and it's not by force; it's just by choice. Because I love to learn, and crack things. And some of these opportunities and brands we're working with, it takes a little bit of extra time and extra thinking to really dig in and understand what's going on and how to solve the problem, especially with everything going on Facebook right now.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's wonderful. The 10,000 hours thing, Max. So it's not actual 10,000 hours; it's deliberate practice, and so people leave
Mm.
out that part. So it's like just because you're not going to learn this stuff by osmosis. It's actual actionable stuff, and it's actually like there's a semblance of or a confluence of strategy and effort, right? Like just because something takes you a long time and you put a lot of effort into it doesn't make it important. Like you can go dig a hole in the backyard and oh wow. So I have a little bit of angst towards the that
I hear you.
came off. The coffee's kicking in, I guess. Um, one last question for you, Jordan. So like you've came up from this kind of photography, South Florida. Now you're balling out, living a really cool life in California. What systems or frameworks, like how were you able to kind of flip the script and move towards kind of your best you?
Got you. So really like kind of getting thrown in the fire, to be honest. I've always had a propensity to just want to do more, want to learn more. I've always hustled. And I can't not give a shout out on here to Jordan Menard because he gave me my first opportunity. He saw that in me at a pretty early on. He got me my first because I have a strong background in buying info/education products. So like digital courses, online courses, stuff like that. And he gave me my first shot at that. He saw that I was working at a local biz agency. He saw that I was hungry for more. I paid my way to go to Tim Bird's mastermind, and he's like, you know what, dude, I see what you got, and I'm building something big, and I want you to join me. But I'm going to place you with an opportunity until that
Beautiful.
time. So he did. He delivered on everything he said, and just really helped me grow
Wow.
into the person that I am today. So huge shout out to him because he pretty much downloaded his ad buying brain into mine. And I had a lot of experience prior to joining him, but he just really helped connect a lot of the dots and just here's how you scale, here's how you spend $100,000 a day on Facebook with one offer, and here's how you manage a variety of offers to and ultimately do what we're doing today. So, man, it's definitely been fun and just constantly optimizing. I think as an ad buyer, you are always making changes to your ad accounts, and if you apply those rules to your life, you really start to see the quality of your life change as well. Just always stay optimizing, continue to change. There's always like a slight tweak you can make to get a better result.
Love
Oh,
it.
that's wonderful. What a great way to wrap up the first segment. All right, fantastic. All right, let's nerd out a little bit. So one of the things that you were talking about, or the pillar of your presentation, was kind of your builder campaign thesis. Can you kind of
Okay.
give people? I know it might be a little hard without the visuals, but kind of maybe a macro level overview of it, because I thought it was just really, really fascinating and quite frankly, really on the nose. I think it's one of the better strategies, if not the best out there.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate the nod. Definitely appreciate it. We love using the builder internally. It's something that we've kind of developed over time. Shout out Zach Duncan and Jordan. It's their brainchild. They kind of came together, had a conversation, and we really started to roll it out in our accounts. So it's called the builder method, and it's a great way to test creative. And it's a CBO campaign. If you're not familiar with that, that's campaign budget optimization. So you set the budget at the campaign level, and then you'll apply the ad sets to that campaign. Typically about 4 ad sets, and about 4 ads per ad set. So we like to run 2 images and 2 videos at the ad level, and allow Facebook to determine which one of these ad sets has the best performing creative. So it's allowing the algorithm to do its thing, even though that's kind of, it's a little shaky right now considering iOS 14 and how that whole rollout's gone this year. But the builder method is still standing strong. So let me go into a little bit more details about how this is structurally set up so you guys can kind of have an idea. So I personally like to start these builder campaigns off at $360 a day, and we scale up from there. So there's 4 ad sets, 4 ads per ad set, and within each ad set is a unique ad angle, which is a high level approach to your product or service. And it allows those ad sets to have diversity along with the different creative testing you're going to be doing at the ad level. So you may be asking yourself, like, why $360? Like every media buyer kind of
Yeah.
has those special numbers that they like to refer to in their ad accounts. Like, use whatever
Yeah.
that is for you. 360 is mine.
It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
It's just historically kind of what's worked best for me. So we've gone with 360.
yeah.
And I let those campaigns run for a few days. Even like sometimes I do it at a loss because the results at the in the long term can be very fruitful. So I just
Sure.
allow Facebook to determine what is my best performing ad sets. I kill my non-performers and allow the performers to run. And every 1 to 3 days, I'm introducing new creative to that campaign, whether it's a new ad angle or a
Oh,
new media. So like, new videos and images, and just
Sure.
constantly rotating stuff. And it's like feeding the beast. You're feeding the algorithm the creative that it wants. And
I
as
love
it
it.
starts to have success, you're rewarding it with more budget. So every time I'm adding new creative, I'm also bumping the budget as long as the campaign is successful.
So how much do
So
you
like
bump?
I like to do it about,
What
yeah, like
frequency?
20% every 1 to 3 days to kind of keep it steady. If I'm
Yeah.
feeling like really aggressive and it's an account that has the wiggle room and I need to scale it fast, sometimes I'll even double budgets, and like just to see how it will respond to that. Not every ad account's going to respond in the positive way. So you kind of have to, have a
Hmm.
great intuition about that account and what it's doing before you decide to like
Right.
really, really be aggressive with it. But yeah, man, there's definitely times where I've bumped like, 2x, 2.5 in a day, and just like and let it ride and do its thing. And then maybe because I'm adding multiple ad sets or I just really want this spin to be delivered. So that's, CBO kind of controls where that money's going
Yeah.
to get allocated, which is some people
Right.
have disagreements with that testing in that way because the money is not being allocated the same way every day. So we do have an ABO version of this as well that we also run, but it
Hmm.
depends on what the account likes, because I've come to find that every ad account kind of prefers different structures. It's
Yeah.
like no 2 thumbprints are the
Yeah.
same, no 2 ad accounts are the same. Like each one of these kids are different.
So
So
true.
you really have to apply that level of thinking to each one. Like, okay, how does CBO perform in this ad account? How does ABO perform in this ad account? There's a like, what structure does it like, and see what works best.
Can can I
Hmm.
ask a quick question regarding
Yep.
retargeting? How do you approach that method with retargeting and CBOs? I think, Robert, we've talked about this before
So I
a
do
little
have
bit.
like I have another campaign structure that kind of incorporates remarketing in a CBO format. But typically, like in
Got it.
Q4 right now, or not Q4, just since iOS 14 has been released, remarketing audiences have not been as strong. So we're really
Sure. Yeah.
thinking about it differently, pooling together as many of our remarketing audiences as we can, so that we are creating the biggest opportunity for the algorithm to go through and search and find those buyers that we're looking for. So I don't run remarketing as much as I probably should, because I'm really focused on cold traffic acquisition and just
Love that.
acquiring new customers and bringing new people into these brands. But we do tap into remarketing, especially if our targets are aggressive and like, hey, we really need to hit our margins aren't the strongest. We really need to hit these numbers. So we'll introduce remarketing to help, bring down that blended CPA, or bring down that or boost up the blended ROAS. So we'll definitely introduce it when necessary, but we're typically grouping as many remarketing audiences together as we can.
I just learned something.
Yeah.
That's for
Yeah.
sure.
So Yeah, so I think that's a wonderful way to approach it. And we actually take it a step further because, to your point, we have to be very conscientious on a lot of these economics. So I have a client that I don't run any retargeting for because it's a $50 AOV. And so by the time I touch these people and it's retargeting, like it's just not, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I need to be able to get these prospecting people and maybe get these other people through email, what have you. But we'll actually throw cost controls on those different audiences. So for example, we might have 3 people in a retargeting audience, and one's like web traffic the last 30 days, one's add to cart last 30 days, and one's played with Instagram or you know what I mean, touch social in some sort of way. And then we'll throw cost controls where we know that the retargeting for add to carts is going to be very, very viable, and those people are going to be worth more money to us. But that way we can also modulate where it just doesn't burn a bunch of money on a really bad day, because that's one of our nightmares is like burning retargeting budget is just like brutal. Like that money has to convert 2 to 3x prospecting to pay off. Like it can't be coming in at the same prospecting. You're touching these people multiple times. So I love that. What are your thoughts?
To touch on that real quick before we go to the next thing.
Yeah, I love it.
I am running like an education offer where I'm seeing exactly that. I'm using Hyros. It's a info product, so it's a little bit different. It's a book call funnel. My remarketing converts way less than my cold traffic. The return on it's like a 1.4, 1.5. I do it because it gives me like a nice blended call book cost. Like it helps stabilize the overall cost for book calls of the ecosystem, but it's nowhere near as profitable as my cold traffic. And I see that on a lot of the e-com offers that I buy it for as well. And it's very weird how remarketing has kind of taken a turn for the worse. So what we've done to kind of combat that in a lot of our accounts is like running what we call like we use full funnel for 2 different things, but this way we're just not using any exclusions in our ads. So no exclusions at top of funnel. Facebook's first time impression ratio is going to be a little bit lower anyway. Like they're already remarketing to people that have had a touch point with your brand. So it's like you're kind of getting the remarketing inside of your cold traffic campaigns because Facebook is going to show these ads to those same audiences again. So like we like to run that just because because we don't need to tap into remarketing as much and we're not seeing the returns as strong as they used to be post iOS 14. So that's kind of how we're also picking up on some of like where we would be spending remarketing dollars at is now in our cold traffic.
I absolutely love that. That's actually was my next question about exclusions, because that's exactly what I found where, because, and again, this gets into kind of like that, we'll call them like the algo maxis, right? Where it's like the algorithm does everything. And, I'm probably closer to that than the manual side of things, but, I do just think that at a certain point, those exclusions become, because my thesis is that if Facebook can't be certain that these exclusions aren't going to hit, it's just going to dump you out of the auction because you don't want it. And so as you start to, because I used to be that nested lookalike guy where you're like, these crazy things, 77 fucking exclusions. Like, what are you doing here? There's one person that's going to see this damn ad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
it's like,
what's the point?
There's a fine balance.
Yeah,
there's like a fine balance of how crazy you go.
Exactly.
For sure. But to be fair, what I was trying to get at was that at a certain point, the algorithm will even stop showing that person the ad because they're not converting. Whatever audience they're in, kind of thing. And so you're going to fall out of that person's retargeting audience, and so that's been actually my preference, the way you're describing as well, Jourdan, where I think that's for me been the most viable path forward. And I have less, it inhibits scale less, because as I start to find pockets of success, the ask is so big. It's just that my salespeople are getting better. My estimated action rates are going up, and so I'm just winning more auctions, and so I can give it more money versus, you sell everybody out in your room, aka a custom or an interest group. What are you going to do? Or some, Tiger Global comes in and just drops down 100 million just to test out the group. You're not going to beat those bids. You're not going to get any impressions.
Definitely. Yeah, dude, I agree, man. And it's just one of those things that I think people are starting to see, and you see the murmurs in the groups, like, what are you guys doing for remarketing? Exclusions, I'm doing this, I'm trying that, and it's just not giving them the same results that they were. So you really do have to kind of rethink your strategy going forward, especially in 2021 and going forward into 2022, you kind of have to rethink how you're setting up your campaigns and how you're structuring things. And also the big, like, creative. You really have to focus on creative. Thankfully at Motif, we have like a very strong creative department. We have some very smart people at the agency as well that can focus on the creative, nail it down, and really give me some powerful stuff to use in my ad accounts, so I can focus on what I'm good at, and that's buying media
Yeah.
at scale. So it's awesome to have
Well,
talented people and very smart people as well that are focused on the right things, so that you can be more successful at what you're good at.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. What are what are like 2 or 3 metrics that you really like to look at in terms of account level, or like how do you measure the health of your accounts?
Got you. So, that's like, there's a few
Big
metrics
question.
there. Yeah, exactly. There's probably more than 2 or 3. I did
Sure,
cover
sure.
some of the 3 numbers specifically at Geek Out that I can kind of touch on a little bit here. But mainly when I'm looking, I do look at my soft metrics a lot. I don't think people give enough credibility to your soft metrics. Those metrics you still have control over. At least Facebook still has control over those metrics. Once the traffic leaves the platform, it's a lot harder for the signals to come back to the platform, so the algorithm can learn from that. So there's just less control you have over the less visibility you have inside of the ad account.
Yep.
So some of those soft metrics are 3-second scroll stop, which is the 3-second video plays divided by impressions multiplied by 100. Or
Yep.
if you're creating a custom metric, you can change the format to percentage and don't have to multiply. CTR all, that's going to tell you kind of how engaging your ads are. The 3-second scroll stop ratio is going to tell you how, like, all right, how engaging is your video? Like, how does it cause enough pattern interruption? Is it really stopping the user in its tracks? And then it gives you a percentage of like how many people are actually staying and watching those first 3 seconds. So it's a great way to really see how engaging your video ads are. And
Yep.
then unique outbound CTR is the third one. So we call those the magic numbers. When you hit all 3 of those numbers the right way, you see a dramatic decrease in outbound click cost, which on the same premium traffic. So we showed some examples at Geek Out where we did a lot of testing. We did all the campaign structure. We did all of the manual bid testing. We did so much copywriting. We tried literally everything. We exhausted so much. Then we started focusing on the first 3 seconds of the video creative and just really creating engaging hooks, and noticed that those metrics that I just mentioned, when they hit certain thresholds, they cause a dramatic decrease in outbound click costs, and the CPMs were actually higher. It was like $32
Yeah.
CPMs versus like $28 or $26 CPMs. So it was just a great example of like, hey, this is what's possible. This is our theory. When you kind of focus on creating more engaging content, you can drive down the cost of drive down the expense of what it costs to send the traffic off of Facebook. And that's ultimately like the most control you have right now, with iOS 14, with the algorithm being all shaken up because of all the signal loss. If you can decrease the cost to leave the platform, then you can ultimately get better results in your funnel if you're still paying for the same quality traffic. So it costs less for you to get visitors and eyeballs in your funnel, and if everything else is set up right, then it should still kind of convert how you would expect it to. But this does not mean like high engagement equals high ROAS. Just
Right.
because you have very engaging ads doesn't mean they're going to give you a return, but you can pair those engaging metrics with the high return ads and start to scale those up. Like, I can reliably scale this if my click cost is decreased by anywhere from 60 to 75%, and I can reliably scale into that and hit my targets that I'm looking for, even without being able to see all of the funnel movement. You still get some data back to Facebook, and you can use third-party attribution to really see what's going on inside of the ad account, or have a better picture of like what's actually driving results. But when you have like, okay, look, inside of your ad account, this data is being tracked back. I see a high return on this ad. I see a very engaging ad. Let me go try and scale it.
Love that. Yeah, that's and I'm glad you touched on that point that not all engaging ads are converting. And the problem with those is, or the worst part about those is, they will absolutely churn and burn your budget because people are engaging with it, and that's what
Yes.
Facebook cares about. Like, Facebook
Yes.
cares about people estimated action rate essentially. So you have your bid, your estimated action rate, and your internal and external rankings. That's how your total value is calculated. And so we have a client where we'll test on social, and then when stuff hits on social, we'll just move it into the ad account. And there's a lot that happens that's great, but I have to be really wary, because if it's something that's awesome and it's just getting a ton of engagement, but it's not getting any, content views are through the roof in terms of cost. There might be one add to cart, but it's spent 50% of the budget. You're just like, what the hell? So I love that. But yeah, definitely when you do that, be cautious, because you can lose your shirt real quick and not get anything for it.
Yes, definitely. That happens a lot. Like, so I geek out. I can't remember the name of the company, but a lot of people are focused on UGC right now, and there's a lot of brands or businesses out there delivering UGC to brands. But a lot of them focus on the organic side. They're not really thinking about how do I create UGC that converts for paid traffic, and that's because like you can have really engaging UGC, really great, beautiful looking UGC, but it doesn't convert. It does exactly what you just said it does, like what you just explained. It gets high engagement metrics on the platform. Facebook's like, oh, great, you can win auctions with this. They spend a bunch of money, but you get no return on it. And it just bleeds through your budget. And that can happen when you give the algorithm complete control over like testing things, or you're not really uh, being as involved in the creative testing process as you should be, or not looking at the right metrics, I should say. When you can see those metrics, all right, this isn't backing out. Facebook's obviously spending a bunch of money on this engaging creative. Let me go ahead and kind of turn it off or remove it from the testing pool, so that then the rest of my stuff does get, a fair share of the budget.
Yeah.
How would you, or what would you recommend someone who's producing UGC for Facebook ads? What is the best type of UGC that converts for Facebook?
That is definitely a great question. I am not the best creative guy to explain that, but I can
Got it.
definitely give some insights on it. Typically, what we've seen is kind of like box reveals. So we do work with a few subscription offers,
Yep.
going through the box, showing the product packaging, going through that customer journey of what they're going to get when they receive it, and then also like showing off those products. So one thing that we've done recently is kind of do that box opening in an environment that product kind of pertains to. So it's like an outdoor, for example, it's like an outdoor subscription offer. Taking that box to the woods and showing, okay, here are the different products that you get in the subscription offer. Here's how you can use them, so on and so forth. But just being in an environment the customer would be in when they're using the product. So the setting makes the most sense. And it also causes like pattern interrupt, because you're not just sitting in your room opening up this box and going through it. You're actually in a different environment that the Facebook user is not going to be used to, like looking at an ad like, why is this person in the woods? What are they doing here? They're going to naturally ask questions about what's going on in this ad, versus just like, oh, that's just somebody's room, or that's somebody's bathroom, or that's their kitchen table. Just typical settings that they expect from ads, and what they experience. So it's just really thinking creatively, like, okay, how can we switch this up? How can we cause pattern interrupt with this UGC? And it's just maybe explaining that to the influencers or whoever you may be working with to create this UGC.
Very
Sensational answer. All right, Jourdan, you made it through the first two sections. That's easy money. But now Max is going to take you through rapid fire, where we'll ask you a few fun questions, and then we'll wrap up the pod. Take it away, Max.
Let's get into it.
Let's roll. Okay. CPMs, overrated or underrated?
I would say underrated. I hear a lot of people they don't care about their CPM pricing, but CPMs can tell you a lot. I recently was buying an offer over. I know this is like a rapid fire thing. I'm sorry for going into it.
No. This is the point.
Okay,
Yeah, go into
okay,
it.
cool.
Beautiful.
So yeah, definitely underrated. A lot of people don't care about their CPMs, or don't think about them intrinsically. Like, there's way more value to CPMs than what meets the eye. So if you do pay attention to it, you can kind of have an understanding of what's going on. Like, for example, images versus video. Typically, images are going to give you a lower CPM. Videos are going to give you a higher CPM. But if you see the inverse of that, then you can learn something from it. Or if you're having really high CPMs in your account, you have to dig down and understand why. Because that's kind of like Facebook's charging you on an impression basis. So like, that's really where a lot of your cost is baked into. So if you can get lower CPMs but still have like premium traffic, or you just engage with those higher CPMs like you have a really engagement. There's just so much I want to explain here. It's like I'm getting all over the place, but basically,
We can have
yeah,
you like
you can learn a
back.
lot from
We
paying
can
attention.
have you contribute. Like this is
I
good
So
stuff.
appreciate
good.
it.
This is
I
phenomenal
appreciate it.
stuff.
There's just
It's
so much
great.
to learn from
Jordan.
CPMs. Like it can dictate your funnel
Wow.
movement. It can tell you like, okay, maybe you're not using the right creative, or you're targeting audiences that are just really expensive, and you need to find another way to bring down those CPMs so the rest of your funnel movement is cheaper. Or just like it gives you great valuable insights. Like there's ways basically here are like the four levers. I've kind of explained this a few times to people, but here are the things I noticed that kind of impact your CPM pricing: the creative you're using, the URLs you're using, the Facebook page you're using, and the ad accounts you're using. And there may be other variables that control that, but those four kind of have like big lifts in controlling the price of your CPM. So if you're seeing
Yep.
like $100+ CPMs, maybe you need to change your ad account, change your URL. If you're seeing
How?
like CPMs are like 20, 30, 40% higher on
Right.
average, then it's like maybe look at your creative and switch that up. How can you apply changes to your creative to bring the CPM pricing down so the rest of your funnel movement isn't so pricey, so expensive, especially if you don't have high engaging ads. Like I had a
Right.
$150 CPMs in an account on average over 100 over like 14, 15 grand spent. I was like, how can I combat this? Like my ads are extremely engaging, 6, 7% CTR, all unique outbound CTR is like above a 3%. Great metrics. Like it's hard to come by stuff like that in modern day Facebook. So I'm like looking at the CPM pricing, like I can't win here. Even though
Yep.
I'm still meeting my CPA KPI, like I was still meeting the purchase price that I needed to hit in the account. I was still just facing extremely high CPM, so I needed a way to bring those down. I changed the ad account, changed the URL, I brought it down by 18%, more manageable, but it's hard to scale into an offer with $150 CPMs on images and videos. And
Yeah.
like I even changed Facebook pages and it didn't really do anything. So I'm like, well, the next big thing I need to do is change my ad account and URL.
I can understand the other through the factors that you mentioned as to what would impact the CPM, but why does the Facebook page impact the CPM from your perspective?
That one I don't have like a direct. And Robert, you might be able to like explain like a deeper
Well,
answer on that. Good.
well, I don't know if this for sure. This is just my
Mm-hmm.
thesis. So your page has like, for lack of a better term, like an authority
Rank.
ranking. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you get your hand slapped
Yeah.
or you do these things, it goes on your record. And so Facebook cares outside of like, unless you're on the hot track where you just spend a bunch of money, you can do what you want. Like if you have to play by the real rules, Facebook seriously cares about the content that goes in the feed, because if Facebook loses engagement, they lose ad inventory. So the less engagement there are less ads they can serve, because there's a certain ad load that people will tolerate, right? Like everything can't be an ad. And so
Mm-hmm.
Facebook modulates that, but there's a ceiling. And so the only way for them to really make more money, they can't move the CPMs because it's an auction. So the only way they make more money is have more inventory. And so the more people that log on, I can show more ads. So that's my thesis, is that all those things kind of go into some sort of like score of your page.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
worked with a really big brand, big brand, like a personality type celebrity. And we had huge issues because they kept getting in Facebook jail for either doing sketchy stuff on Messenger, stuff like that, where it wasn't directly linked to like ads proper.
Mm-hmm.
But the account is,
Yep.
you run ads from a page, right?
Gotcha.
So that's my thesis, anyways. Jesus, got into the
Sure.
craziest. This is like a second segment of rapid fire, but it's so good.
Yeah.
We need to get a whale mail on your CPMs, because I love that, man. That's incredible. But sorry, we'll come back and land the plane, as they say, right, Max? So CPMs underrated. Boom.
Wow. Okay, this is
This
good
is great stuff.
Jordan. Okay, I feel like this next one might open up another box too. All right, let's do it. Cost controls, overrated or
Another
underrated?
underrated one, maybe like so. I view cost controls in two ways. You have like manual bids, as in like cost caps
Mm.
and bid caps. I
Yep.
haven't seen stability with either of those lately, but you can also, like if you're in a CBO campaign, you can set min and max values, minimum
Yep.
spend values and max spend values on your ad sets
Mm-hmm.
to kind of control how that spend gets allocated as well. So, and I don't think a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
utilize that to their advantage, especially if you're in a CBO creative testing environment. You can apply those rules so that each ad set gets a fair share of spend every day,
Mm-hmm.
so that there's like some consistent allocation, some consistent impressions on those creatives. So it's kind of fair, because like the CBO, like Facebook, the Facebook algorithm can decide where it wants to go with your money in a
Yep.
CBO. And I do enjoy that aspect of it because it allows the algorithm to find what's going to perform best or what's going to, win
Mhm.
auctions. What is it? How can it get, serve the most people with that ad set or that ad? But it
Yep.
doesn't necessarily always work out. It doesn't mean that that ad's going to give you the best conversions or give you the best return. But setting those min values and max values will, or even using cost caps, or just even going ABO just gives you more control over how much money is allocated towards that ad set, towards that ad, so that it's just your results are a little bit more statistically relevant.
That's awesome.
Okay, Haley, this will go fast, I think, but we'll see. Although all this stuff is really interesting and super technical, I think it's great. So, all right, Yosemite, overrated or underrated?
Yosemite. That's one. Are we talking about the
The park.
Iowa? Okay, the park. All right, I was about to say, yeah,
Oh yeah,
Apple's got their own version.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't too sure. So yeah, the park. I would say like I hate to be so consistent, but maybe underrated.
yeah.
I haven't been personally. I know there's great cycling there. I've heard, so I definitely
Yeah.
want to go check that out. And it's great views. I've become moving to California, I became more in touch with outdoors. It's more enjoyable to be outside here than it ever was
Yeah.
in Florida. So it made me appreciate the environment and the opportunities we have at large in the world to go see things. So I think if you haven't taken the time to get out in your life or explore or to go see something new, then like Yosemite is probably a great step. Great first step. There's a lot of, it's a national park. It's going to have a lot of amenities to accommodate people to go visit, whether it's Airbnb, whether there's tours, whether there's, like camping excursions. There's just so much that you can do personally to go see something new and get outside. I think everybody should take advantage of that.
Sure.
I love it. Nature, nature, nature.
Yeah.
Okay, bike lanes,
Oh,
overrated or
yeah.
underrated?
Okay. So here we go. Another underrated one. Bike lane. I ride my bike all the time. So, but in the state of California, bike lanes they're awesome. They're so wide. I feel safe riding here. I don't feel safe riding in Florida. I never really rode my bike outside of my residential neighborhood growing up. But as I became an adult, it's just like I'm not getting out on these streets. But coming to California, I saw how much infrastructure was here to support cyclists or anybody riding a bike, period. And it just it incentivized commuting on two wheels. So I definitely think they're an underrated thing and should be deployed across the country. As a driver, I can understand where the frustration comes from, but you should definitely get out on a bike and experience it for yourself, because then you'll probably look at it differently through a different lens. You won't be so aggravated with people on a bike because you understand what they get from riding, you know?
Empathy is a powerful drug. I
Yeah,
actually didn't have a car for a couple of years, and I rode my bike before I got a boosted board.
there you
And
go.
just riding like two or three times and like encountering it'll totally change how you
Hmm.
actually think of cyclists. Yeah,
Yes,
100% with you.
definitely, definitely. And here people are just like they're used to them. In Florida, I would get honks, people would yell at me. They just they don't know how to kind of treat cyclists on the road, so they get very
Yeah,
skittish as well, which
yeah,
can be dangerous to other drivers. Here, they're just a lot more comfortable with other people on the road, different types of, I guess, vehicles, if you will, on
yeah,
the road. So it's a more comforting environment to ride my bike here than if I compare it to other areas that don't have the infrastructure.
totally.
All right, here we go. I don't know what this means, but I'm
It's a
assuming
photography thing.
you guys do. Yeah. Prime lens, overrated or
Oh
underrated?
man. Okay, I'm just going underrated on everything here. Like, so with the background in portraits and even shooting cars, like I think prime
Yeah,
lenses, they make you move your feet. You're not gonna get the frame. You're not gonna be able to frame the shot exactly how you want to. It's gonna make you think outside of the box. It's. I can compare it to an ad account in the sense that it just forces you to be innovative in what you're creating. So the way I look at how I manage campaigns, it's my current modern day art form. Photography was my art form and my creative expression when I
deep.
was doing it, and now it's buying ads and thinking of campaign structures in a way that in an innovative way and just creating something new. It's my blank canvas, and every ad account's a blank canvas, and I have to go in there and create something beautiful. So I view, you can look at prime lenses the same way. Like you have to be innovative. You have to think about things differently to go and get results. You can't just like, oh, let me zoom in here, let me just, angle a
True.
little bit differently and I got my shot. And
Hmm.
it's like, no, you got to walk over there. You have to look at it through the camera. You have to, is the framing good? Is my lighting on point? You just think about so much more in that process. And you're like, to me, I'm more proud at the end result. But if I'm like shooting a wedding or something, definitely
Yeah.
non-prime
Yeah.
lenses. I
Yeah.
need my zoom
Yeah.
because
I love it.
weddings are crucial
Sure.
moments. So you really need to be everywhere at once with that, and even like live events as well. So, but when it's
Yep.
like portraits and anything I can slow down on, portraits, automotive photography, I like to shoot primes. They're just crisp, clear images. You get a nice focal range as well, so
Yep.
it's all good.
All right. I'm learning a lot today. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, what's your favorite camera?
My favorite camera, I mean, I personally have a Canon 5D Mark III. I know it's
Oh,
dated in
yeah.
2021, but I love full frame cameras. I am looking at a mirrorless body, not sure if I want to go Sony. I've heard great things about Fuji as well. So just really looking for the next, because I do want to get back into photography. I want to have kind of like a walk around camera, but my 5D Mark III is just heavy. Like it's a massive camera. There's carrying everything, all the gear around for it's bulky. So I do want something that I can like throw on my shoulder, or wrap it behind my back and go ride and take pictures of the area. But at the same time, these are also expensive cameras. So if you fall, like you're not only potentially breaking your bike, but you got to break the camera too, and then
Yeah.
you're just in a whole lot of money. So that's
Yeah. And the
kind of
class.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man. So it just doesn't stop there. The potential to ruin some expensive things is high.
Mhm. Favorite meal and why?
Favorite meal? Oh man, oh man, dude, I'm a big foodie, so I've recycling has helped me combat weight loss tremendously. When I first got into it, I lost like 50 pounds pretty quickly, like within the first like 4 or 5 months. I dropped
Oh,
so much
wow.
weight. So growing up in the South, there's a lot of food options. So honestly, narrowing it down to one thing, I probably can't. But right now, Asian food is a huge plus in my life. I do enjoy
Oh
it.
yeah.
There's this city called Claremont, and a little bit closer to San Diego, and there's just a lot of Asian food, Asian culture in that area that I do frequent. It's like a 30-minute drive from me, but I go out there pretty often and check it out and get some food down there.
It's awesome.
Great. Favorite picture taken?
Favorite picture taken. So honestly, it's this one in San Francisco. Took it like probably what they call referred to as the golden hour.
Yep.
Um, Beautiful scene, beautiful landscape shot, and I love it. I love it. I love it. And I haven't gotten it printed, but it's definitely something that I want to. And it's like when I think of a landscape shot, my favorite just shot to date, that's the first thing that popped in my head. It's just like I remember
It's
that.
awesome.
I remember, it wasn't really a climb. It's just like a scenic outlook. So there's a lot of people up there. But I remember the day pretty vividly and like just how I felt about the scene. And it's just like, man, California is beautiful. So that was like my first experience, my first time in California. I was there for a week, actually taking photos for a rental car agency that I worked for at the time, kind of leveraging photography with social media marketing and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it all lended down to or led to this path. But yeah, man, it was just a beautiful time for me to grab that shot, and I think about it pretty often.
It's fantastic. We'll link to it. Is it on your Instagram?
Let's see.
We'll drop a link in the show notes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. If not, I can send it to you. It was on my Twitter for a little bit, but I'm also, like I said, just dark in the dark with
Yeah.
most social
Silent
media
killer,
products,
baby.
silent killer. So it may not be up there. Let's see. I'm scrolling through it now. I actually don't think I posted it, but I definitely put it on Twitter. Because landscape shots, you're like, unless you're like a landscape photographer and that's what you
Yeah.
do, yeah, then it's a little bit tougher to incorporate it. But I'll find it and send it to you for sure. So you can drop a link to
Great.
it in the show notes.
Favorite place to travel to and why?
Salt Lake City, Utah. Even though I've been out in California, that's probably a weird one. I really enjoyed my time in Salt Lake City. So working for this rental car company, I got to go to various locations and take photos so we can use for social media. So I was, had a rental car and a few days to just go out and grab photos, and that was like my mission. in Salt Lake City.
Wow.
I was still living in Florida at the time. Wasn't really an outdoorsy person at all, but I spent my entire time outdoors, just like going to see things, climbing in the mountains. Just like, bro, this place is beautiful. Like
Yeah,
just really made me appreciate nature so much more. So definitely one of those cities that I think people, it's got its stereotypes for sure. I'm sure people are kind of like, I don't know if I would want to go to Salt Lake City or be in Utah, but I think Utah is probably one of those like underrated states,
totally agree with you.
in terms of just like
Mhm.
just outdoor beauty. Like you don't realize what's there, and like what is the allure to Utah, and then you go there for the first time and it's like, wow, this place is beautiful.
Totally agree.
Wow. Your favorite follow on Twitter?
Favorite follow on Twitter. Let's see. I'm heavy into crypto right now, so I'd say like
Oh,
Alex Becker.
oh, Maxis, the
Yeah.
crypto maxis. I can see the laser beams coming out of both your eyes.
So
That's awesome.
and mainly because I have experience with Hyros, and like I understand his online personality can be a bit of like it will ruffle a lot of feathers. It is like a personality online. I don't think he's like that personally, but a lot of the advice that he has promoted in his videos or in his tweets has made me some money. So like I just out of my experience, like, okay, cool, that's a nod to Alex Becker. He's put me on some interesting projects, and also some interesting NFTs. So definitely, gotten to some great opportunities because of him. I would say Alex Becker and Elio Trades, I think is how you pronounce his name. But yeah, it gave me new concepts to look at the crypto projects through, new lenses to view these projects
Yeah.
through. So I'm making sound decisions. And that's kind of like what I like, people that give conceptual advice, like here's how you can go apply it on your own, instead of just telling you exactly what to do.
Love it.
Definitely. That's
Love
awesome.
it. Okay, here we go. Okay, if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would it be? This is our
Oh my
final
goodness,
question.
dude. Let's see, Nipsey Hussle for sure, because that's like one of
Yeah,
my
yeah.
favorite artists. He inspired the hustle in me at a young age, so I definitely gotta
Hmm.
give him his nod there. Let's see who else. Oh man, I know I shouldn't like draw blanks there, but he's got a lot of influence on me. Who else can you just like uh, leverage good relationships with, that I kind of like look up? I don't know, man. It's kind of hard. It's kind
It's a
of
hard
like
one.
Nip. I got to give the nod to, because like I listen to his music every day, and it's definitely gotten me through some tough times. Like as
There you
far as
go.
like on my entrepreneurial journey, it's just like you got to keep pushing, got to keep going. Times are always going to be rough and
Hmm.
tough, but as long as you push through the adversity, you come out stronger on the other end, and thankful that you didn't give up. Ooh, what can I say about the other two though? Hmm. Oh man, I'm drawing blanks. I don't know.
We'll leave it. We'll leave an option. It'll just
All good.
be you and Nip at the table
Yeah, for
chopping it up.
sure, for sure, for sure. There's
And
others, but I'm just drawing blanks right now.
oh, totally understand.
All
We've been
good.
going for almost 50 minutes, so let's wrap it up. Jordan, are you guys taking clients? Do you want to tell us a little bit more about
Yeah,
Motif? How can people get involved?
definitely. Okay, so Motif is a performance marketing agency with a huge focus on creative. We are currently open to new opportunities. So especially going into Q4, if you guys are looking to, get some, make the best of Q4, and definitely reach out. We're full service. We handle creative. We handle ad buying. And we can get you guys. I think SMS is one thing that we're looking to introduce, but we'll see how that goes down the road, because a lot of people are looking for great remarketing opportunities through email and SMS, but
Oh yeah.
primarily paid traffic is our thing. So if you guys are looking for paid traffic on Facebook, Amazon, Google, let us know. We
What's
spent
the
eight.
best way to connect?
So OUONU at motif.digital. My name is Jourdan Smith. There's two Jordans at the agency. It's better than referring to us as White Jordan and Black Jordan, but that is like the I was gonna
That's
crack out of that
amazing.
one. But yeah, my name is spelled Jourdan. So OU at Motif, MOTIF .digital is how you can reach me directly. We spent $8 million in Q3, so we've definitely been hit by the iOS 14, but still scaling in a lot of cases. So I think we have a lot that we can offer to brands looking to navigate this space right now or having a hard time. Definitely would love the conversation.
Wonderful. All right, folks, you heard it here. OU at MOTIF.com and hit them up.
Digital.
Digital.
Yeah,
Digital.
yeah.
Oh, the,
Yes,
the
sir.
top level domains missed it.
Yes, sir.
We'll put it in the show notes. We'll put it in the show notes as well. Thanks everybody for joining. This is our 7th episode. It's been incredible having you. If you want to get more involved with Triple Whale, you can follow us on the Bird app. We're at Try Triple Whale. We also have a great newsletter called Whale Mail. You can subscribe right on our profile. And then if you want to use the app, we're taking waitlists. So just go to trytriplewhale.com and get on the waitlist and you can get in. Jourdan, thanks so much for your time. Max, it's always a pleasure. You guys, we'll do it again soon. 7 in the bag.
There you go.
100%. It was great. Appreciate the opportunity, and we'll see you guys out there online.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Peace.